What's good, everybody? You are now in the mix. This your big dog K6, Chi-Town's finest, Carlton, you dig? Y'all, this is not a replacement or anything, so this is not your girl Leah, aka the therapist, but this is one of our mixers who's actually been like avid listener. Really gives us feedback, really be in the mix with us. Appreciates everything that she does to support the show. Your girl Chanel Green, man. As you can see, she got the green hair, green jacket, all of that, man. So, you know, we had to bring her on, of course, man, because this is one of C's peoples, and now she's my peoples, and she's a part of the mix crew, because you hear nothing but positive things about this young lady. Like, she does a lot, and she has a lot of upcoming things that you need to be in store for, all right? We always talk about, we preach, support Black-owned businesses. She got her Black-owned everything, all right? And she has more in store. I just need y'all to understand this, okay? All right, she's a full-time hustler, full-time mom, you know, on the grind. We're going to get into that, y'all. We're going to talk about that and more, all right? This is episode 117, so we got a good shop talk for y'all. Shout out to our sponsor, Rich King Brand. We got something in store for y'all. I just need y'all to understand that. When we come back with some heat, the videos and the pics that we're going to have for y'all, man, listen. I be trying to tell y'all, stay in the mix, all right? Support Black-owned businesses, all right? Just see the get up, right? I told y'all this before, man. Like, C probably the only person I know that can have like any kind of fit and have the hat to match with it. All right?
I had to, you know, figure this one out too. Shout out to the undervisor. That's where he was saying.
Yo, let me ask you something. How many pairs of hats you on?
I'm not gonna lie, I don't know. Like, I had a decent amount.
Yeah.
And then over the lockdown during the pandemic, it grew. Like, it might have doubled. It might have more than doubled. I don't know. But, you know, you see a good hat out there, shoot me a link. I might like it. You know?
So
you feel me?
you'll call yourself a hat head then?
I can be a hat head, a bit of a connoisseur.
All right.
If you will.
What you prefer more, fitteds or snapbacks?
Probably fitteds.
Okay.
You know, because essentially, you know, snapbacks is cool.
Yeah.
But a lot of snapbacks are like based off of fitteds. Like, I feel like your hat, that's meant to be like a fitted. You know, if it's like a trucker hat, something like that.
Okay.
If it's one of these other snapback, it just don't really do it for like a fitted. Like, unless it's a baseball cap, they wear fitteds on the fields.
All right.
I'm a rocker fitted.
Understandable. Now, y'all, so, you know, y'all two are linked, so y'all connected.
Oh, yeah.
Been good friends ever since. Yeah, y'all been good friends ever since. So, y'all care to share? I know this shit good peoples. Would you like to care to share how y'all met and everything?
Yeah. So look, right, we was at Morgan, and they was having a pageant. I think it was the Black and Gold? Collegiate 100.
Okay.
I was in a lot of organizations at Morgan.
Very much so.
And they was having the Collegiate 100 pageant. And you know, y'all know I used to be Mr. Morgan State University. And so they kind of requested both of our help with the pageant. And then we met there. We had to work hand in hand anyway. And then, you know, the rest was history. You know.
Big facts.
Now here she is.
I learned of C before I even met this man. Like, I walked in there and they was like, "Have you met Carlton?" No, I'm not even a Morganite. But you know, I'll meet him when I can meet him. Can we get this pageant going? And then when he walked in, like, his presence was just like, boom. I was like, oh, that must be C.
We was in the Armory at Morgan. That building ain't even there no more.
Really?
They tore it down.
You broke my heart.
They tore it down. It's another building that is almost done. It's erected. They just gotta finish, like, you know, building the walls and all that shit. But
that was a good time. That was a good year.
That was a great year. Good morning time. I think I was alumni already. It was one of those times where it was like, because I was for sure alumni at the time. But shout out to my Morgan State University family. They won't, like, for a long time, they wouldn't let me go.
They wouldn't.
Like, there was a lot of stuff. They would say, "Oh, can you do this?" And I'm looking like, y'all don't even go there anymore. You know, I'm not Mr. Morgan anymore.
Right.
There's a few other ones after me. Ask one of them. They're like, well, we just kind of.
But they're not the same.
Yeah.
Let me tell you about this guy. He, like, the second time we were in the same the presence of each other was at a basketball game. And I was there for my homegirl who sister was on the marching band. And I didn't even know he was there. He was across the gym. And when I tell you, everybody started screaming like he was a damn celebrity. I was like, who is coming in here? What is going on? And then I have a screaming child because she was afraid of y'all mascot. And I'm just like, I didn't know who, like, what was going on.
I knew the mascot too. The mascot was one of my friends. He was definitely
my youngest was afraid of the mascot. So it's like the crowd is screaming, she's screaming, and I'm like, what is going on? Do I need to run? Do I need to pick my kids up? Like, what is going on? And here he come dap everybody up. And I'm like, all of this because you're walking in here. Oh my God. And like,
it'd be
people
like that
just
in
needed his
basketball games.
attention.
It'd be like that.
I've never seen that though. When you put that kind of emphasis on one person and you just know that they're about the community.
You know what this is? It's the Hall of Fame legend.
I see.
Fame
I learned that day.
Yeah. You know? Hall of Fame legend right
So I
there.
was like, okay,
man.
maybe I take him serious. Because if you could make nobody was even rooting for Morgan at the basketball game at all. Like, nobody was even thinking about them folk. And then he walked in and the whole thing erupted. I was like, what did he do here?
I didn't do nothing there. Shout out to Morgan State. Shout out to B.
Yo,
treasure,
that's hilarious, man.
Like, I want to be like him.
You know, she came to the gym with me.
So did y'all do upper body, lower body? What y'all do?
We
I
ended up.
conditioned.
Yeah, she conditioned.
So
you know.
now let me ask you: did you stretch them out?
No, because we was busy talking.
Okay.
Yeah.
That was like the next phase. Like, we had to get to know each other first. Like, I wasn't just going to throw him into one of my stretch routines.
Yeah.
Stretch is crazy.
She's a dancer.
Yeah, she informed me on that. I feel like she put a lot of emphasis on that too, you know. So it's kind of like she was preparing me, like, all right, I'm
listen. The type of stretches that we do before we work out,
right?
And the type of stretches that they do,
it
is the workout.
Oh shit! Damn. All right, I'm gonna have to try it. So I'm
yeah.
All right, bet. I ain't gonna run away from the challenge.
I know you're not.
So I like that.
I know you're gonna hold through.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna say it don't feel good.
Okay.
Listen, here at In the Mix, we don't run away from challenges
at all.
At all. So that means y'all both gonna come through for a conditioning.
I just said we don't run away from challenges too.
We don't run.
So now I gotta do it. Okay.
Yes. It's a team effort.
Well, she put you on the spot too.
Right on the spot.
Right on the spot. So we can't run away from that. All right. So we gotta talk about you, okay? Because you know we got you here. Appreciate you getting in the mix with us.
Always. Y'all are gems.
Yeah, man, listen. You're a gem. All right, so we got to talk about your business. Well,
businesses.
Yeah, we got to talk about your businesses. So why don't you just go ahead and inform the mixers out there what it is that you do, and then if you want to give them a snippet of what you have to look forward to.
Ooh. So over the next 10 years, we're gonna start backwards.
Okay.
Y'all had 5 businesses to look forward to. New Mercy Performance Arts Boarding School, which we're steadily, slowly getting together.
Right.
We already have our Green Goals Beauty Academy, which serves lash and nail tech masterclasses currently. Come June, we will be accredited, so keep an eye out for that, because then we'll be state board certified.
Yeah, because I'm definitely going to be coming through that.
Yeah, listen, so I need y'all to definitely hit the like and subscribe so y'all remember that y'all will come and get y'all nails done by my students. I promise you they real clutch, like hands down, all the way. All the way. And then we have our Greensway Naturals, which is an all natural body butter and hair collection, which literally stem from my ancestors. So my C baby helps me promote that as well, using it on all his clients.
Hey, I was telling him there's been a couple products I use on him. They don't even be knowing until they see results.
Don't even be knowing, right? Don't
even
be knowing. And then we will have Gluten Free Me Please, which will be our gluten free grocery store, which will have a cafe involved and a library.
All right.
So that's coming up soon. And then we have our community outreach program called Our Reach, which is putting money back in the educators' pockets, taking some of the financial strain off of the education system, and putting some type of stability back into our community.
Okay.
So we all these things coming.
I like that. So what made you get involved with wanting to do all of these businesses? Like where did everything stem from? Just like I was like, okay.
My babies, my 2 little girls, ages 13 and 12. Well, Rain will be 12. Being a dance teacher inspired that. Talking to other educators and realizing how much money they really kick out every year when athletes are making billions and they're sitting here scrounging, and if they don't have like a support system like a spouse, they're like living penny to penny, and that's not okay. And then we're sitting here fussing that these kids are dumb. Well, you're not helping if you're not putting your money into their pockets to provide better resources. Just life, my environment. Seeing black men like you two, and the fact that y'all don't have the platforms to be even greater. That's what I'm pushing.
Okay. That's good.
Shout out to you for even donating to the back to school drive that we have coming up August 12th.
Oh yeah, man. Listen,
Thank you.
You know, I'm definitely gonna have more for you too. So it's only what, April? Yeah. So I'm definitely gonna have more things to donate as well. But yeah, of course, man. You know, I think when you look at like kids today, like no matter what, man, bullying will always be around, no matter what. I think that's something that they need to. I always stress that like they need to institute like a bullying class.
Well, it's a trauma response. Bullying is ultimately just a trauma response. So
always.
These schools are now trying to, Baltimore County public school systems is trying to implement classes or downtime for mental stability, which isn't working because they're not putting the right people in place. But if we can kind of tailor these trauma responses, bullying won't be an issue.
Yeah, it's tough, man, because you look at the kids today, and you look at their parents, right? You look at the parents be put together and all of that, but then you look at the child, and the child is just coming to school, however, and it's just like, why is this okay? Why are you put together but not your child? Why do you have your hair done and you fresh cut? Your child doesn't.
Because they didn't deserve it.
You know, that I always say there are a lot of people out here who are parents that don't need to be parents.
They don't need to be
parents. At all. But it's sad. So yeah, so I definitely want to do what I can to help, because it sucks sometimes. When you go out here and see these kids and they just want probably like the latest shoes and just try to like keep up with everybody else, and it's hard. It's hard, but then you also see the parents that really care more about what their child looks like. The latest high fashion, but their child bringing home B's, F's, whatever other grades they get nowadays.
The fact that we have yet to protest the core curriculum is an issue for me.
We're gonna get into some more of that.
Yeah, Shop Talk definitely gonna be a good one.
One of my issues. So being that a D is passing is an issue.
Yeah, and it's the bare minimum. Folks are okay with that. Folks are okay. So it a lot of things don't help nowadays when you really think about it. Like for us, when we grew up, we didn't have social media and technology the way these folks do today.
God.
Like they be in their phones heavy. Like for us, we was you was into your dance. I was into sports growing up. Yes. I was always outside. You was into sports. All of that shit. Like
cheering.
Yeah.
I had 2 jobs.
It was a lot of things that we were really into that we got to like appreciate growing up. Nowadays, these kids is just kind of like they need $300-$400 pair of sneakers. They need the latest high tech things, and it's just like, y'all wouldn't have been able to survive in our era because we really knew how to have fun and enjoy life. These kids today, it's just kind of like it's a disappointment. And I know we touching on gun violence and everything during the Shop Talk, but it was wild because up at Bowie on Friday, shout out to them. They just had a line. Shout out to E-Sig. There was a shooting that took place Friday night
at the probate.
Nah, afterwards. It was like late night, and
at
then
the school.
Yeah, at the school, and then at Lincoln, shout out to the first HBCU, my alma mater, baby. You know what it is. There was a double shooting on the campus that Saturday at Spring Flame. So it's just crazy because you look at it and you look at the folks who are outsiders that come to disturb the peace of those that just carrying good vibes and good energy, you know. So it's just it's crazy, man. To be honest with you, how are y'all getting access to these guns? What are y'all doing? What's the point of you?
It's government funded.
I'm about to say,
We all know this. There's always going to be somebody who will infiltrate something positive all the time.
Listen,
But listen, we gonna dive into that, but I just need y'all to make sure y'all support Black-owned everything, Black-owned businesses. Before the show ends, she's definitely gonna plug in where you can, you know, support Copper Butters, all of that, and then also make sure y'all check her social media as well if you do care to donate to these kids, because there are kids out here who actually are in need of a lot, whether it's school supplies, clothing items, for hygiene, whatever it is.
Well, let me take over for that one. So when you donate a coat, it goes to the Helping Up mission off of New Orleans.
Okay.
And then we had the Pampers and wipes for Mom Cares Baltimore. And then we had the book drive going at the same time for My New Book Inc. So it's multiple layers to this donation drive.
Nice. See, man, so it's always for a good cause, man. It's always for a good cause. So we really got to start coming together for all the positive energy. The same way we come together for brunches, Sunday Fun Day, and all of that.
That part.
We got to come together for more positivity, man, especially when it involves the community and our kids. Which now leads to the good brother himself, a Hall of Fame legend. Chi-Town's finest, Carlton You Dig, with some shock talk. And I'll go ahead and hand it over because y'all already know how the introduction goes when it comes to this segment, y'all.
listen, man. So y'all know how I get up. Keep them ears to them streets. Keep them clippers to them heads. I keep them clippers to them heads. I keep them ears to them streets. And if y'all was listening to the streets, like I was listening to the streets, y'all gonna hear a lot of gunshots. And it's disheartening. And so for the last couple of weeks, because I know we haven't been in the mix with y'all in a little minute, and so we back. There was a point in time, I mean, even still, we hear about shootings pretty much every day.
You're right.
And it's like some of it is kind of, I guess, quote unquote normal. It's become a normal thing, how often we hear about shootings.
Yeah.
Everywhere we at, everywhere we from, whatever. It was to the point where we were hearing about like mass shootings on like almost on a daily basis. Where it's like, oh, you having multiple people killed, multiple people injured in one event, one occurrence or something like that.
Yeah.
And so, you know, it was all like mainly isolated events. Like, you know, one of them was like they shot up a funeral home, which was like, I can't even begin to describe how horrible that is. Another one that was in downtown Louisville, I think it said like 5 people killed, 6 people injured, and then the shooter killed himself. And then on top of that, it just still seems like every day we look up in all of our respective cities, wherever we are, especially because the weather has been breaking over the last couple of weeks. It's been a lot of shootings and a lot of stuff going on. So before I even want to talk about some of the solutions to this stuff, I want to talk about a demographic in a lot of these shootings, because it's been a lot of young people involved. Like, we know, on one hand, a lot of the mass shootings, we know how that stuff kind of happens. And aside from that, though, a lot of the daily occurrences of shootings that we hear about it happening. We kind of just alluded to some of this stuff too, from a lot of young people. And I just want to know, like, where do y'all think they are getting this influence from? Because we was just saying that, you know, back when we was like some of these kids' ages, it wasn't quite the same. Like, people wasn't running the guns the same way that it seems like they are doing now. Like,
Yeah.
Like the occurrences, like, I don't even remember really that many times hearing about or seeing people like bring guns to school. Like when I was in high school, it never happened at all when I was in elementary school. And nowadays, you got kids 4th, 5th, 6th grade. They're bringing the. Y'all just heard for the listeners out there. I just played a video for them, but there was a woman here in Baltimore. She stopped her son from shooting up a school. Now, mind you, I got it because I guess it's just essential to differentiate right now. But it wasn't one of those situations where he was planning to go into the school and just shoot whoever, like how it normally looks like on the news. But apparently he was getting bullied. They robbed him, they knocked him out, and he was coming up there to retaliate. And she stopped him. His mother went up to the school and got him out of the school and stopped him and found the gun in his book bag. And she was even herself talking about the violence of it, and like not even just on some like, man, I had to stop my son from doing this and I didn't want him to shoot it, but the stuff that made her son want to go up there and do it. And that's kind of what we were just up there alluding to. But what do y'all even think? Like, what's the difference between this generation and ours that's making this such a common thing nowadays?
Community. Period, point blank. There was a time, you know, for all of us growing up, no matter what city you were born and raised in, there was a community mom or grandmother, and everybody will go to. There's the aunts and the uncles on your specific block that you could run to when these things were happening.
Right.
Moms weren't just home. Like, yay, I was like, I'm an only child, so I was home by myself. But she made sure everybody in our apartment building knew how to reach her. You know, they had this slight disciplinary actions, like you know, not like physical, but like, listen, you gotta get your stuff together.
Yeah.
We're not allowed to do that anymore. Where people just leave their kids in their homes by themselves with just time to think to how they can get back at these bullies. They don't have any mentors. What do they have when mom has to work 12 to 15 hours a day?
Right.
You know what they got? Social media.
Yep.
And music.
Yep.
And reality TV.
Yep. That's it.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Yeah, man. You know, it's extremely different nowadays when you really think about it. Like you had mentioned, you know, when I was in elementary school, never heard of, you know, a child bringing a gun to the school. No mass shootings. When I was in middle school, never heard of a child bringing a gun to school. Even if, you know, it was due to bullying or anything like that. When I was in high school, never experienced any of that, you know.
Well, y'all did.
Like we're all from, you know, we're all from different cities, y'all, and
I mean, I'm pretty sure the other schools surrounding y'all, but y'all were well protected.
Yeah.
You see it. I mean, even if we wasn't victims of certain things happening, we seen it.
Yeah, you know, we've seen it. Yeah, and it's just crazy because, like I said, when we, you know, before we was talking about it, like we got to really appreciate everything from just like enjoying time with your friends, being active in your sports and everything. Like really, like your parents tell you to go outside, you gonna go outside and have fun and enjoy that shit. Yeah, you know, and these kids today, like you had mentioned, see, technology, social media, all of that is just so accessible, and they're glued to their phones, you know? And then you have people that get on there, talk their shit, feel like they're tough. You know, back in our days, if you had an issue, you go to that neighborhood or find an area, do what you gotta do. Yeah, and then keep it pushing. It's sad because, you know, we're, you know, to our parents, we're still their kids, no matter what age we are. And like, I'm an only child as well, so we're supposed to be burying them. Nowadays,
not the other way.
You see parents burying their child, you know, who haven't even get to see what life is really like, because of stupidity nowadays. And I think that's just where this generation is. And it's not to say like they're actually really stupid, but it's just stupidity lies within this generation because they see what other folks are doing, and it's just kind of like monkey see, monkey do.
Yep.
I see you doing this, so let me go ahead and do it, but I'm gonna do it 10 times better.
That's it.
Yeah, and so, because now we breaking this down. A lot of this stuff is an exposure thing. I feel like a lot of things we weren't exposed to in the same ways that kids are now. They have the world at their fingertips by way of their phones. I work with kids on a daily basis. You work with kids also. And one of the things that I notice is that it's really hard to keep them out of their phones and keep them focused on something else that's like more productive. And because of this exposure, it has grown kids up a lot quicker than we did, but not in a good way because they're still kids. So they still are seeing grown-up things, but through a kid's lens. And so even knowing about certain stuff, they might not fully understand the extent of if I have a gun and I shoot somebody and I take their life, how terrible that is, like an adult would.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And when you see stuff like that, especially knowing the influence, and it's crazy because we was just having an argument about this in the group chat. Like, if this wasn't yesterday, it might have been yesterday or the day before. Because we was talking about stuff like kids having access to these things and like where they get the influence from. Mm-hmm. And I personally feel like the number one influence is music. And somebody was trying to argue like, oh, you can't just blame it on music. I said, I'm not solely blaming it on music, but I feel like music is the biggest influence. Mm-hmm. People don't understand the power of music as an entity. Yeah. Like in how it affects your spirit, how it invades your mind and your body, whether you would like it to or not, how it affects your thoughts, how it's everywhere. When we're looking at people on social media, stuff that they see on social media, there's a music background to it or a caption from a song or something. And especially when people are doing these things in real life and then putting it on social media and putting it in reality TV and putting it, and then you see it even in video games or movies as people want to still act like that's the same kind of influence. Right. But to that point, children, because they're so malleable, they look at it and they internalize it in a different kind of way. So now, it was an instance where, and again, how you were saying before, like how we do put some of the responsibility on the parents. It was an instance not too long ago where I had to take a weapon from one of the kids where I work. And it wasn't a gun, thank God, but it was a knife. Mm-hmm. And I'm just like, come on, bro. Like, because my first instinct was, you know you're not supposed to have this, and you know you're not supposed to have this here. Mm-hmm. And he was just like, no, come on, man, don't take it from me. I need it. And I'm looking like, no, you don't. Like, what are you talking about? And he was just like, nah. Like, I guess there was an instance before where he was walking home, and he got jumped by some kids, and his father gave it to him. And was like, you know, if you're in that situation again, he probably was alone. And he's like, if you're in that situation again, here's a weapon and use it. And so now I'm like,
without teaching him the responsibility that comes with it,
right.
Nor did the father say, hey, let me stop what I'm doing for that day. Let me walk with my child to see what needs, what they are viewing from their things. Like, that's my issue with a lot of parents is we're not teaching, we're not seeing the perspective of the child. We're not finding a response to the child that will protect them and other children from the violence. We're just not doing it. So my issue with a lot of parents, because I'm not one of these parents, that, prime example, my 13-year-old told me that this little girl just would not leave her alone because she goes to a PWI in Essex. So, and then my daughter loves to wear her fro out. And I tell her, do not let anybody touch your fro. That's a no-no. Right. Period. So this little girl, I guess, of the other race, decided that... Oh, no, you can say that. Okay. White folks. White folks. Oh, yeah, we can say that. This was like trying to belittle her, and then I guess more so because the little girl is friends with some of the fabulous little black girls around there and who wear all the fake hair and stuff. But I teach my daughters to be different and stand on 10 toes on who they are, right? Right. So my daughter went and said something to the teacher, like I said. I said, you give them 2 times. You say something to the teacher twice. And on that 3rd time, rip that bitch apart. Because nobody's listening to you. Right. So before we got to the 3rd part, I just went up to the school and I sat in the class. Like, what we not going to do is jump on my child's back once she does go hawk. Because my child will go full hawk mode on you. I go up there, I stop what I'm doing, no matter what it is, sit in all of her classes to see what the influences are surrounding her. Then I go talk to the teachers. Then I accelerate to the principals, and if I gotta take it higher than that. But I let every adult know that if I have to come back here again, it's me and you in the Board of Education, and I'm gonna probably allow my child to rip this child a new one. Because I've taken the steps to protect you in this facility. Yeah. And you're not doing anything. And you're suspending her, or you want to do X, Y, Z when she turns in the hall. And what happened? A week later, Ayana gets into a fist fight with this child. Rips her a new one, like I told her to. I said, I dare you. I dare you suspend her. Right. I've been up here 3 times.
That's the problem.
fix it.
Yeah, and that's the problem with these teachers, especially like at these
Well,
white,
I mean,
white
they
schools
have so much red tape, but again,
Yeah.
it's the parents who aren't coming up there on a consistent basis.
Mm-hmm.
The principal called the little girl's mom, and the mom was just adamant about coming up there. Cause I'm like, surely let's meet, let's talk, let's have like a real one-on-one to figure out what the problem is.
Mm-hmm.
Cause whatever trauma responses you have, you didn't put on your child.
Right.
And I'm teaching my children that people are walking around with trauma, but that's not your responsibility. Just like your traumas aren't their responsibility. So we need to get on the same page here.
Yeah.
Because my kid's gonna keep beating your child's ass.
Mm-hmm.
Period.
That's a fact.
Man, that's just one instance of how we see things escalating. And because of, again, we can take that same instance that you just talked about and just put that same exact instance in a school or something 15 years ago, 20 years ago, and the outcome would be probably a whole lot different than how it is normally nowadays.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? And so now we look at the difference in the times and how we keep talking about the influences, and even the little girl probably saying something about it, like the exposure to the world and how we see people talking about like black women's hair and stuff like that. That probably played a part in that too, from the little girl even saying something. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so now, again, we see that part, right? And so now I want to take it to another part about it, because now we got to come up with solutions. And I already know what the solution is. Y'all already know what the solution is. So the real question is, why do y'all think they are not banning these guns? Why don't y'all think they're actually doing anything to ban guns? We seeing schools get shot up. We seeing everywhere get shot up. And we seeing children dying. We seeing children dying everywhere in every school system across the country. And we don't seem to have anybody that can do something about it, doing the thing about it that needs to be done. Why do y'all think that that's just not happening?
It's not going to happen because the way the United States is now structured is far from what the founders wanted.
You think so?
I know so.
Okay.
The fact that there are so many races that have blended is creating the issue. So let's wipe everybody out. Let them wipe themselves out, which is not.
Okay.
It's not the citizens doing it. Like I said, there's always going to be somebody that's going to infiltrate something good. Because think about it. If you take the guns off the street, what does the government have? We don't have any. The United States does not have any money. You can't rule us with money at this time because there's no money behind this dollar bill anymore. You can't tell us, you tried drugs and what happened? Everybody went and found a way to be creative with their drugs and you're still not able to kill us all. You try to keep us segregated, let's take it back there. And what happened? Your sons and your daughters were still having sex with black people. Still keeping these kids. And now, let's move to today's time. You don't want people to have abortions, but you're forgetting that your white daughter just had a black child.
And it's so crazy that you mentioned abortions too, because I think whichever state has these laws, I think you have to prove that you were raped.
Yep. And there's no way to prove that. But at the end of the day, the issue is this is a way to wipe out the United States.
And it's so crazy. I mean, when you look at
they tried
state
COVID,
of fucking Florida,
it didn't work.
Their stupid ass governor passed that bill where you don't even need a permit to carry a gun.
I mean, now you can go get that bitch from the corner store.
Right.
And
Like a bag of
just be
chips.
fine, right?
So you think all that access in the state of Florida?
But they think that we're going to wipe ourselves out, and it's not going to happen because black people are too fucking resilient.
So you thinking how I'm thinking? This is on purpose.
Yeah, I know. We know it's on
You know
purpose.
this is on purpose.
Think about all them bombings. Okay, let's take it back. Take it back. They bombed all of our lands. They flooded all of our towns. And what happened? We came back 10 times stronger. There's nothing that people from the earth can't die. You have to literally kill off the earth to kill us.
That's a fact.
So
That's a
there's
fact.
absolutely nothing that they can do. So unfortunately, our children have to bear that violence while they try to find a way to get rid of us.
I think that's their way of doing it. So now that just reminded me of something, or just made me remember something, right? So they have this Fugazi Amendment, where we have a right to bear arms, which is like a catch-22 in the issue that it creates. If you give people weapons, of course people are going to need weapons. Because if you give one person a weapon, they can do whatever they want to do to other people that don't have weapons.
Right.
So now everybody needs a weapon. But now everybody has this paranoia that other people that have weapons are going to use the weapons against them. And so now people are a little bit more antsy about using their weapons. But then also because people are very emotional, there are going to be things that are going to happen that's going to make people want to use these weapons against other people. Like we just said about the kid that got robbed and knocked out, and he took a Uzi up to the other kid's school and was going to shoot him if his own mother hadn't stopped him. And so, we talk about it being on purpose. I feel like in generations before us, it wasn't so much targeted towards the kids as it is now.
It was never
almost
targeted against kids.
Yeah.
Before it was just man to man, because remember women and children were off guard. Like you just would not touch unless you want your whole family on.
Yeah. I mean, even the ops, like how we speaking about, like even the powers that be that kind of wanted this to wipe each other out, they was just letting the men do it. And now we see that even little bitty children are not off limits. They are letting them. They are allowing this.
Yeah.
Where they can go into these schools and slaughter them. Go into these schools and slaughter them, and we know what the solution is. And they like, but honestly, that's when I knew for a fact, for sure, that nothing would ever be done. Once they made it okay for little children to get slaughtered with machine gun assault rifles, that's when I knew it was no hope for anything. Because again, it's one thing where we make it seem okay for children to be getting murdered, and it's another thing where we make it seem okay for children to be the ones doing the murdering. It's okay for them to get the weapons and do all this stuff now, and they're the future, right? Yep. You take it with the future, the older generations. I mean, they're going just let nature do this thing, you know? Yeah. They're not as powerful as the younger generations coming up, and I'm just like, damn. But we see the influences. We see the issues that allow the influences to mold into the things that they have become, and we see the solutions, and we don't see anybody doing anything about the solutions. So now, I guess my next question for y'all would be, how long until either shit hits the fan or shit hits the revolution the way that it needs to be?
It's going to be a torn United States on that one.
Because we already had a civil war, they need to get cracking again damn near.
It's going to be people like us three who's going to be about the revolution. We're going to be on one side of the block. And you're going to have everybody else that's just going to kill each other off on the other side of the block. Yeah. Unfortunately, but we're going to be the ones who plant the seeds to make everything better. We just have to make sure we're so deeply rooted that nobody can infiltrate it again.
Yeah, it's almost like a purge.
Yeah.
Except it's not one night. It's like something that's
it's
happening
going to be generations
every single
and generations.
day, whether it's here in a
why
whole
I do
different
what
city.
I do with that is why.
Yeah.
If I can create my own community of structure. So the goal initially to start buying 6 acres of land, and then I want to say by the 15th year of all of the brands blossoming, I really want 365 miles of our community, period.
I love it.
Like our own, whatever you want to call it, it'll be our community, our schools, our, however we decide to police ourselves. Nobody can come into our lane.
Yeah. And it's needed, you know. When you look at all these white folks buying up all the blocks that's just like torn down and
we're not even gonna talk about that.
nasty.
Security mall hurt my feelings. Okay,
So
I'm coming for y'all. I'm coming for all of that land too. What did Tyler Perry say when he said he brought that nice little plantation up over there? I'm coming for you. Okay, I'm coming. But that's what it is.
So all in all, I think we found another solution. We gotta just come for everything we owe.
Mm-hmm.
That's all.
That's it.
That's
Period.
Because we know the solutions. We need to just, hold our own people down, hold our own shit down, because we see what's going on out there.
Mm-hmm.
I still don't know if I want to tell people to, do you tell them to put the guns down or do you tell them to shoot? I don't even know how to answer that because it's almost a case by case basis. But I will just say, stay safe and stay dangerous. You gotta stay safe and stay dangerous.
Yeah. It's almost like put the gun up, use the gun if necessary. But when it comes to these little kids though, parents gotta really come together and they gotta duke it out. Whether they go to a boxing ring, box that shit out or something, but it's other ways instead of seeing your child die. It's other ways. The jumping one person is corny, Pull up on them kids one by one. You're gonna fight each and every one of them. See how tough they really are when they not with their crew. But it's gotta be other avenues. Because again, like back in the days, used to duke it out, keep it moving. Back in the days, for our parents, they probably just duke it out, shake hands, and keep it pushing.
But we gotta let that code go. It's non-existent anymore.
It is. It's like first thing, if something happens, it's just kind of like instantly thinking, let me find a gun and go kill this person.
My first response lately has been, what trauma created this? And I have to stop every time, with all my students, with my children, even talking to other adults, especially at work. It's, what is their trauma? And let me figure out what their trauma is before it gets escalated. Mm-hmm. Because if you don't figure out why they're walking around with a chip on their shoulder, nothing matters.
Yeah.
Sometimes you get people just to talk. That's it. So it's them kids that jumped that old boy, my whole thing is, where was the other group of parents who would have been so what's your real issue? You don't have no food today? Here. Let me hand you this food.
I ask some kids every morning, did you eat breakfast this morning?
Yep.
And I'm like, that's why you're so angry at 7, 8 o'clock in the morning. You didn't even eat nothing.
Or they didn't go to sleep all night because of somebody keeping them up. They really have real issues. And granted, it's so many more children than it is parents out here, period. Just overall.
And sometimes it don't even be that. Sometimes they just be up all night and their phones just
you ain't
rolling.
When my kids be hot when they come over on my weekends, boy, them girls be mad. Because I'm like, it's 10 o'clock, phones completely off, put them upstairs. That's the only way that they get real sleep is when I tell them to turn off their phones.
But again, you also have, I be saying this all the time, man, you have kids raising kids.
I was going to say that too.
But see, again, let's take it back. Some of us were kids raising kids growing up, but our integrity was completely different.
Yeah.
But we also had after school programs who didn't cost you almost $500 a week. Because right now, I'm thankful I had my daughters when I had them. Because to have them right now and have to pay $300 to $500 a child for after school program, you're bonkers. No, I'm not. I don't care how much I'm making. I'm not paying that for no 2-3 hours for you to watch my child. That is your duty as a community member to be responsible for everybody's child together collectively. When we stop making stuff about money, we won't have these issues. I've only found one summer program that I'll be paying $300 a week for both kids collectively for summer camp. Everybody else is asking for $300 per child. And that's for 5 hours.
I think it's like a balance. I think, when it comes to me, and I think that's why I'm happy I don't have a child or kids right now, because shit is expensive.
Life is expensive.
Yeah.
We can't really just say children, but life is expensive.
And I think it only got worse, especially after the pandemic.
Yeah.
These kids are products of the pandemic. They don't even know how to operate in the real world because they was in a very important part of their lives. They were away from the world for a very long time.
Well, they were sitting home with parents who
don't know how to be with their
ended
kids.
up being the same age as their child.
Yeah.
And I know that sounds really weird, but a lot of people don't talk about their inner child, you know, until you're sitting with your child.
Yeah, because that really took the time. Because, you know, a lot of marriages that were going well ended. You know, you really had to like it. You actually had to spend time with folks because if you were working from home, if your child wasn't at school, so it's just kind of like you really had to be home and you interact because for the most part, y'all away from each other for 8 hours in a day. By the time you get home, by the time you get home, you tired.
Yep.
You just, oh, did you make yourself something to eat? Go to your room, and that's it.
Mm-hmm.
That's really it. So now it's just really kind of like, damn, do I really love my wife? Like, this what you do on the regular?
This is how you act.
Damn.
Like, this is what happens when I'm not home.
Wait, this is what the kids do? Damn, do I even love them? Like, it makes you really sit back and question so much, and it's crazy.
Tom Brady.
Yeah, for real. Like, it's really insane. So it really, like, it gave, man, I'm trying to tell you.
A lot of adults didn't realize that they hadn't matured from their last trauma. And I keep bringing up trauma because that's the root of all evil right now, is these traumas, and we're not living through them. We're just kind of getting over them.
Mm-hmm.
And I see that on a daily basis, no matter what age it is. And this is the part of life I'm teaching Ayana and Rain to get through whatever their unconscious traumas are. And the pandemic really showed people that they hadn't matured
At all. And it doesn't make it any better because when you see, you know, students that like are getting killed, like this affects the students because that was someone's friend.
Mm-hmm.
You expect them to just go on and act, you know, normal and carry on throughout the school year and think everything is okay without them properly healing.
Yeah.
And it's also tough too because, you know, you have some kids who don't know how to fully express themselves.
But their parents don't know how to express themselves.
Yeah.
So it always goes back to the parent. I know parents hate to hear that, but it does.
Mm-hmm.
It goes back to the parent, and I want to add this. It goes back to the parents because as a society, as a community, like you was just saying, we are responsible for each other in a lot of ways where we don't acknowledge.
Mm-hmm.
And so what happens is a lot of the solutions we have, but they're not actively being implemented by the adults because there's nobody to hold them accountable for it. And then they're teaching that to the next generations. And then we are already in a completely fucked up country.
Mm-hmm. Very much so.
Yeah.
And so they encourage certain things and they feed on certain things, making it worse anyway. And so we end up in this place where everything just is in a constant state of getting worse.
Yeah.
And so you must protect yourself. And when I say protect yourself, I don't just mean with a weapon because they want you to use that weapon because they want you to think that protecting yourself is killing somebody because you're emotional. I mean protect yourself, protect your health, protect your spirit, protect your mind, you know, and all of that before you know, is more important than at first protecting your body because it will make it that much easier to, like how you just said, you're teaching your kids to, like, you know, what kind of trauma created this situation from happening. Stuff like that will change a whole lot of stuff first. And even before that, you know, well, even after that. This just reminded me of a Kendrick Lamar. When the last time I dropped some bars in there?
It's been a minute.
It's been a minute.
About 4 episodes.
You see what I'm saying? Listen, because this just reminded me of a Kendrick Lamar song, ironically titled "The Heart Part 5." You know? But the beginning of the last verse, he says, "Celebrate new life when they come back around. The purpose is in the lessons we learn now. Sacrifice personal gain over everything, just to see the next generation better than ours." And I want people to, you know, take heed to that because everything that we ingest, whether the stuff that we're looking at, whether the stuff that we're hearing, whether the stuff that we're eating, whatever, it all affects you in different kinds of ways. And we are already under constant attack by this divided states of embarrassment, aka United States of America. And I just want y'all to understand, in the meantime, though, y'all can always count on me to keep my ears to these streets. and keep them clipping to them heads. And I can always count on y'all to be in the mix, man.
Hey.
There you have it, folks, man. That was our shop talk of the day, man. And before we close out again, definitely want to thank our special guest for joining us and being in the mix as always, and always being so genuinely supportive. Truly appreciate that. Please plug yourself to the Mixiners. Let them know where they can find you, follow you, and all of that good shit.
So if you're on Instagram, you can find me at the C Green Hustle. You have the Gringos Beauty Academy and Green Ways Naturals. Other than that, if you want more information, you have to go like subscribe, babe. Like, I'm not gonna give you that free information without following my folks.
There you have it, man. Listen, and on that note, this is episode 117, y'all. Until next time, it's your big dog K6, Chi-Town's finest, Carlton, you dig. Always behind the scenes, holding it down. Your girl so effing classy, aka so effing crafty, aka so effing glassy. Your girl Leah, aka the therapist. And don't worry, we got a new Mixing the family now. Miss Chanel Green.
I'll be back.
Like she said, go subscribe, click the link and all of that good shit, and then make sure y'all go and show her love and support her as well. Till next time, y'all, we out of here.
And the max, and the max, and the